that are taking place. Some Palestinians are being charged up to $2,000.
I'm not going to South Africa for the G20 because I think their policies on the extermination of people are unacceptable. So I'm not going. So I won't refer to anything having to do with South Africa. South Africa has behaved extremely badly. But
to pursue the agenda of white supremacy.
You think Trump is pursuing a white supremacist agenda?
Yes, I think so.
Sunrise over D.C., coffee in my hand. Saw the headlines from a faraway land. South Africa's politicos
running their mouth again about America and me. Where does it all end? Near about a whole year of the same old tune.
name calling in tall tales beneath the African moon. Oh, it's more trash in the USA. I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare, pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. For Afrikaners and minorities, nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough,
Patience wearing thin.
gonna tell the world the truth.
Where do I begin? They talk about freedom and justice for all, while their own people are answering a different call.
Farmers on their homesteads,
Living in fear and dread,
minority voices silence words left unsaid.
promises like tumbleweeds blowing in the breeze, while their leaders keep on preaching,
Bringing us to our knees. Oh, it's more trash in the USA. I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare, pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. For Afrikaners and minorities, nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough,
patience wearing thin.
gonna tell the world the truth.
Where do I begin?
I tried to stay quiet,
Let it roll right on by,
but a man can only take so much beneath God's sky. That's the honest truth.
when you see folks suffering, it just ain't right.
Gonna set the record straight with all of my might. Oh, it's more trash in the USA. I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare, pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. For Afrikaners and minorities, nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough,
Patience wearing thin.
gonna tell the world the truth.
Where do I begin?
Yeah, more trash in the USA.
But the truth will find its way.
Pretoria, listen up to what I gotta say. God bless America, come what may.
Come what may. It's been building for 30 years. The fever duty to a mission of mercy, trying to feed the poor, protecting food from warlords in a distant, dusty war.
But it turned into a fantasy, a nation-building scheme. A clueless POTUS smoking cigars, chasing a pipe dream.
And it ended in the fire, it ended in the blood. Now the liberal guilt is rising like a toxic, stagnant flood.
Surrendering our sovereignty to states that already failed, while the spirit of our nation is systemically impaled.
They won't learn the language, they won't accept the norms. Just a colonization from within that takes 1,000 forms.
Courtesy of the treasonous, the ones who walk our halls, writing invitations for the ones who want to scale the walls.
30 years they dumped them here, the red and then the blue, betraying every citizen, betraying me and you.
They brought their broken values to the cities and the schools, rewriting all the history and changing all the rules.
Ice, ice, baby,
Bring on the storm.
freeze the insurrection where the madness is the norm. Ice, ice, baby,
The insurgency is grown.
reaping every bitter seed the leftist hands have sown.
Zip ties, paddy wagons, lock the haters in the cage. The lawless ones are screaming in a self-inflicted rage.
Americans will rise, yeah, the patriots are back. Ice, we see the signal, and we've got your back.
Now they foment insurrection like that summer of love, pulling down the stars and stripes from the poles above.
Attacking every government, attacking every street, with the wicked cocktail served to everyone they meet.
Hate and deep depression, a narrative of lies, to hoodwink all the gullible and pull wool over eyes.
They back the foreign felon over the citizen's own life, stirring up the sedition, sharpening the knife. Patriots assemble fear
Every lie they told us.
was just a dying spark.
Bomb is here!
Ice, ice, baby,
Bring on the storm!
freeze the insurrection where the madness is the norm. Ice, ice, baby,
The insurgency is grown!
reaping every bitter seed the leftist hands have sown.
Zip ties, paddy wagons,
January 20th, 2026, Dr. Martin Luther King holiday is in the books. We've experienced it now. A weekend in which racist bigots assaulted a church service in Minneapolis, threatening worshipers, violation of the FACE Act, a law passed by a Democratic Congress and signed by a Democratic president in 1992, which was unconstitutional, so they added worship in there rather than just abortion clinics to protect their ghoulish Kill Americans in the Womb project. And it's backfired on them now. Don Lemonhead is guilty of committing federal crimes. There should be a bench warrant issued for his arrest as we speak. Let me do a sound check here. Warrant issued. All right, sounds pretty good. All right, knackered. No, I'm good to go, Karen. It's been a long day. People trying to intimidate and threaten me. These people don't know who they're dealing with. They're stupid, stupid people. I actually went to Rochester and achieved what I hoped to achieve and found some information and had a good news story to tell about that organization, about things they're doing for refugees. It looked like a very good story until that dunderheaded moron was abusive, insulting, disrespectful, and just obnoxious and batshit crazy on the streets. And so now there is something to investigate. Now, instead of just, I was actually leaving in a good mood with, a nice rapport with the people in the office who actually brought me to the office. I didn't go there unsolicited. They brought me there, and they brought me to the place. And then, my PC does not have sound. What are you talking about? My sound is fine. My PC doesn't. I can hear it fine. Refresh. There's sound. Anyway, so this idiot has now forced me to dig deeper. And I will see if there's a nexus here. And in the meantime, what happened today in Rochester has already been reported to a U.S. congressman. A member of Congress is already aware of it. Now, I didn't notify them, but someone else did. Someone else contacted, one of my American viewers contacted a member of Congress, and they're already aware of it. Anyway, can we stop talking about the sound here? The sound is fine, Kathy. Let it go, okay? All right, so it's very distracting. I'm just going to turn the chat off again if we're going to use the chat for Tinder. Tinder's elsewhere. This isn't Tinder. You want to chat about the stream, you want to ask questions, you want to comment, it's fine. Stop the commentary, okay? All right, this was just going to be, I was done. I had achieved what I'd hoped to achieve. I found out what I could find out. But now, well, future looks bright. The New York office had a chance to comment. The Indiana office has had a chance to comment multiple times since last year. I saw Professor G's video a short while ago. I watched it when I returned home, and he himself said he's made multiple efforts to contact them about questions about this. By contrast, when you reach out to Amerikaners, they answer like that. If you are from the press. Yeah, what they can answer. But no, they refuse to answer. So when you say it's a few bad apples, I don't agree with that. Again, I've defended RSC. I've said what they're doing is they're doing yeoman's work. And when people complained about them, I said, you don't understand what they're going through. While we've been defending RSC, and we've talked about a few places where Church World Services provided good service for people in America, clearly what's happening in Rochester is beyond the pale, unacceptable. It's not acceptable. We pay tax dollars for this service. Ladies and gentlemen, I met an Afghan who arrived a year ago, dumped in a location. I don't, because the English, the level is English, and the time, he had to get to work. I didn't have time. So we didn't have that much time for me to ask questions further. But I met an Afghan who told me he arrived a year ago and he was put in a place, I presume either in a hotel or his residence. He was put in a place and then the agent fucked off and was gone for a week. No food, no money, no social security number, no nothing, no cultural orientation, just dumped in a location in Rochester, New York for a week. For 2 months, they didn't get food stamps. They were eligible for food stamps. For 2 months, they had to make do without that money that they were entitled to under the law. Why? Because that organization didn't do its job. Now, he tells me that his agent that got switched from that agent, he gave me the name of that person. Notice I haven't disclosed the name of that person. I haven't doxed these people. I haven't done that. So the abusive behavior that I received is unacceptable. I can dox all these pieces of human filth. I have their names. I have their numbers. I can dox all of them. So keep acting like fools. Keep acting like fools because you're public figures. It's not doxing. I have not revealed anyone's names. I've not told anybody who you are. Yet you behave in this fashion towards me. There's a shot across your bow. Knock it off. Knock it off. Okay, Phoenix. Thank you. Okay. No, Krista, not at all. Not at all. What happened in that office is that wasn't even Church World Service. I had been at Church World Service. I tried to contact them, but as I'd seen in the video that a refugee had posted previously, when you try to contact them, you push the pound button, there's the little screen in this metal box, but the screen is detached. It's hanging down at an angle. And so you can't read the words. You can't read what number to push. So how would you know? So I couldn't contact them. It was so cold out there. So I went and moved in the parking lot, and the wind kept trying to blow my phone over. So that was Church World Service, whom I contacted by email in Rochester last week, whom I called last week and left a message. Didn't have the courtesy to return either one of those. And then I also called the New York office, didn't have the courtesy, and I've called Indiana once again, and no response from them. I left there, and I tried to find a good news story. So I went to another place, Refugees Helping Refugees. I went all the way across town to their location, 5 miles away. I got there. It's in a school or church, and on the front door it says, Refugees Helping Refugees is no longer located here. Now they're over on this street, Plymouth, 2-something Plymouth. So I went there, and the address is a parking lot outside a community college, just down the street, or just across the street from the baseball park where I believe the Rochester Red Wings play there. There's nothing there. So I'm like, what the hell? So then I tried another location, which was a place that provides legal aid. I drove around. There was nowhere to park. Nowhere to park. You can't park on the street. It obstructs traffic. There's no place to park. They didn't have a lot, and there's paid parking lots. But when I drove around the building, I drove by the office, and the building looked dilapidated and old and looked like a place I didn't really want to walk into. And it wasn't that important. I was just trying to see if they could offer legal services to refugees. So I left that place. So then I went to the next place on the list, which I went back to the CWS to find a parking space because I could park there. And that's when I met the Afghan refugee, and we talked about his experience. He was told by his original case officer when he said, "We're Muslims, where can we find halal meat?" His case officer, according to him, said, "You people eat dog. What do you care about? What you just eat whatever meat." Excuse me? You said this to a Muslim? Who do these people hire? What sensitivity do these people have? Do they even know where people come from? You eat dog? Afghans don't eat dog, do they? I've never heard of that. And even if they did, that's an incredible insult. He asked a simple question: where can you find halal meat? If you're in South Africa, it's in every frickin' pick and pay, but not here. We don't do halal. So that's incredibly culturally insensitive. And he's been here for a year. So he was told to go to DHS, the Department of Health and Human Services, whatever they're called. That's the state office that helps people with the other things. He went there, and he got there, and they said, "Why are you here?" And he said, "What do you mean?" He found it out on his own. No one told him. They didn't even tell him where to go. So he went there, and he didn't have an appointment. The people at the government office said, "You can't help you. We can only help you if the third party is here to intervene on your behalf, to do this paperwork." And the same thing, I got the same story from South Africans later on. They also went there. They were told to go there. They went there, and the people there said, "We can't do anything until CWS comes over here with the paperwork. You don't have an appointment. They have to set your appointment up, and they have to be here for you." So anyway, then I left there, and while I was there, live streaming in the car, Mad Max gave me the address. He said, Church World Services at a different location, 414 Lexington. So I said, okay, I'll go there. I have to go there anyway. There's another organization there that helps refugees. I'm still looking for a good news story. And I have no idea whether these places are linked or not. I don't know. So I go there, I get out, and there's a church. I'm like, that's where it's... So I went over, and there's a door. I knocked on it. It says it's open. And a lady opened it. She was a Somali Kenyan. And she welcomed me in. I walked in. It was a church converted into a library. Kind of odd, but I've seen stranger things. People there getting books and people sorting things out and people helping each other. And it was lively. I was like, this seems friendly. They went and got this guy, Aziz or something like that was his name. I can't remember exactly. And besides, it's not important to say. We sat down. We chatted for a few minutes right there in the open. He was very friendly. And I told him what I was doing. And I said, I'd like to do a good news story. This seems like a good news story. I mean, is it possible to interview someone or talk to someone or film? If it's not, that's fine. I don't want to intrude. I came here unannounced. I didn't even know this existed. And he said, you should talk to our director. Let me take you to him. So we walked outside. I thought we were going to walk around the building. We walked down the street. And as we walked up, I said, that's another place I want to come visit. I didn't know this was related. So he takes me in. He looks for Mike. Mike's not there. And a lady calls Mike. Anyway, it's a long story short. And then this jerk off comes in there and starts lambasting. So now I'm curious. Is there a link between Church World Service and this organization? And why was this guy so abusive and obnoxious and threatening to me? Why did he behave in that fashion? When everyone else there was polite and friendly, and so was I, and respectful. Why? Why? So, now we have to research to see if there's a nexus here. But in the meantime, that conduct and that behavior has been reported to a U.S. congressman. So, you're messing with the wrong people here. All you had to do, and in fact, I would have had no interest in even pursuing it any further. I would have been disappointed I didn't get to tell a good news story. The guy could have blown me off and said, well, we don't really give interviews to the press. We'd have to ask our headquarters, and they probably won't grant it. That's all. Well, and that guy, instead of being an ass, all he had to say was, because I was already leaving. I was walking out the door when he walked in. I was saying my goodbyes and thanking them for their help. And I start to walk out the door, and he comes in, and then he goes and reads his texts, and he starts being abusive towards me and obnoxious and profane. And now I'm like, what the hell? What's going on here? Is he hiding something? Does he know something about what's going on? And what the South African refugees told me in private the night before will blow your socks off. But I allowed for the fact that South refugees might be embellishing. There might be a little hyperbole here. Maybe they're just upset because they're not getting help. So, anyway, big mistake. Big mistake. Disrespecting an American citizen who defended this Constitution so you can be an ass to people in public. Now, if that's how you treat an American citizen and a combat veteran, how do you treat refugees? All things are going to get very, very, very spicy. And it wasn't necessary. They could have lied to me, and I wouldn't have known better, and I would have said, there's nothing to see here. But instead, subterfuge and abusive behavior leads to more investigation. No, Dogzilla. Oh, okay, Dogzilla's thing is, okay, just ignore that guy. It's okay for them to insult Muslims and tell them that they eat dogs and to leave them in a hotel starving for a week with an infant. Yeah, okay. See how much he cares about refugees? I thought you cared about refugees, Dogzilla. You're always being a prick and being combative. Why are you that way? Why are you that way? Are you missing the point here? Are you missing the point here? You are. This is about our tax dollars that are being not used the way they're supposed to be used for refugees. If we bring people over here, they deserve our attention. I know you said nothing of the kind. You said move on. Why move on? This isn't over. Big mistake. Big mistake. This isn't over. This is not over. Not over. Not by a long shot. They could have lied to me. I wouldn't have known any better. I would have left town. But to try to threaten me, to try to intimidate me, and to scream like a moron in the streets, yelling at the top of his lungs. Profanity. People look at him like, what the hell's wrong with that guy? That was my question. Big mistake. Big mistake. Well, I don't know, Stefan, and I'm not making any such allegation. But the behavior, the response of that person, his mistreatment of an American citizen, and his demeanor speak volumes. Speak volumes. Exactly. If you ignore the problem, look what they did to a Muslim. I thought the left cared about Muslims. I thought they cared about immigrants. What is happening? And that was my question. When I talked to the South Africans the previous night, when they came to the hotel, I chatted with them, and they explained what situation. I said, well, this could be a couple things. It could be bigotry towards South Africans, or it could be hatred of Trump. They're blaming you. Could be that. But what if they treat all refugees this way? Or it may be a case of there's just a few incompetent agents and it's uneven. Some people get service, some people don't. So I left all the possibilities. Again, Dogzilla's missing the forest of the trees. Here, let me pull the trees apart for you, Dogzilla. I know you're in Snohomish. So here, in Snohomish, it's a beautiful spot out there, but clear the trees away. Let me pull the branches back. It's not about the guy yelling at me. You're missing the point. I would have let it go. The call to the congressman occurred before the guy yelled at me. Someone contacted America, I know because I got contacted. Someone in America contacted a congressman before I even had that guy. You're missing the point. I would have dropped it. I would have moved on. I would have let it go. I just would have reported what the South Africans said, and I would have moved on. But now someone in Congress is interested, and I'm still interested. That's the point. The guy yelling isn't the point of the story. The fact that he knew who I was says an awful lot. Fuck off to Pennsylvania. Who the hell does he think he is? Who the hell does he think he is? Correct. That occurred over a year ago before Trump cut the program. Very telling. Very telling. So you're missing the point, Dogzilla. The point is that these people aren't delivering a service to refugees, period. We pay taxes. We don't know, Dogzilla. I don't know who he is. He could be the landlord of the building. I don't know. People deferred to him when he came in. Presumably he's like the second in charge. I don't know. The gentleman who runs the program wasn't there. He wasn't available. And that's why I was leaving. I said, look, I came on announced. The guy brought me over here. Thank you. I mean, they tried calling the guy, but his phone was off. And she said he must be at a meeting for lunch. I said, that's fine. I don't mean to interrupt the guy's lunch. Appreciate it. She said, I'll take your number and he can call you later on. Well, I never gave him my number because the guy, but I do have his number. I do have his number right here. She gave me his number. It's right there. Right there's his number, which I'm not going to dox. I have his name too. Guy's probably done nothing wrong. The organization was interesting. I wanted to do a good news story. And this is, see, this is how they behave in Minneapolis. If you're not doing anything wrong, then you don't behave in this fashion. You don't respond this way. You don't get racist bigots in Minneapolis start coming street calling people racist because they're standing on a street corner reporting on a story. That doesn't happen unless you're doing something wrong. Same thing here. Nobody else had reacted that way, but all the other people were refugees or junior people. Anyway. Where is Jonathan DG at? And did he got robbed? Lip service to get votes. Politicians just want their time. The feeding trough. Very few truly care. I agree with that. Yeah. There must be a reason as to why someone reacts. Exactly. What's the motivation? Why? Why are they trying to cover it up? And what kind of idiot in America is so abusive to a citizen or a colonel? Seriously? Seriously? Don Jansa von Rendsburg, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I got back safely. It was an interesting drive back. Mostly trucks on the road, mostly clear roads. The road was spotless from snow. The snow was all gone. Okay, so Rochester, kind of a sad tour. The Genesee River was frozen over, which is beautiful, but there was nowhere for me to take a photograph. I wanted to take a photo, but I was driving. There was nowhere to pull over because it was all no place to park along the river that I could find. So unfortunate for that. But kind of a sad. I drove by the Kodak, Eastman Kodak headquarters. It's shuttered. It's down. It's vacant. Their global headquarters, they're gone. They're out of business. One of the most powerful companies in the world for a long time. Just didn't adapt to the technology and are forgotten about. Fuji's still around, but not Kodak. Yeah, Fujifilm in Japan's still around, but not Kodak. Kind of sad to see. Canon's still around because they moved into copiers, but Kodak just didn't get it done. I'm sure that was devastating to that community and really had a deep impact on Rochester. The town also has some really bad roads, but I have to give them this credit. I got there, 2:30, and it started snowing about 5 minutes before I arrived, and it came down in sheets. By the time I went to get some food a little bit later on, within 40 minutes, there was already like half an inch on the road, and the streets were already sloppy and slushy. They worked hard, assiduously. I mean, there must have been, I don't know, I'm guessing 4 inches of snow, if not more, probably 4, came down just a few hours. The roads were clear. All the major routes were clear. Even the secondary streets were clear today. The crews in Rochester are prepared for snow. I got to say that. Hats off to them. Great job. Really nice. And the people I met, the folks at the Burger King where I stopped, and the folks at the Walmart I stopped, the Starbucks I stopped. I didn't have Frappuccino. I did stop at Starbucks. Chipotle, everywhere I went, people were very friendly and polite, with the one exception of that one guy. Yep. Well, enemy Farid, that's the question. Why is he angry about what I might have said at Church World Service? Is he tied to them somehow? Why would he, what would happen? Notice that certain professions are not jobs, but rather a calling. It requires a very special kind of person. Sadly, it becomes a job only. Morning. I hope that CWS in South Africa also has your videos to get a grip. No, CWS in South Africa they're not in South Africa, they're in Nairobi. They're doing a good job, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I know, they're treating people with respect. They're addressing people's needs. It's just that you all don't understand how complicated and how few people they have and how much pressure they're under. They're working 7 days a week. So yeah. So Church World Service receives about $180 million a year from the U.S. government. It's their major source of funding. Major source of funding. Yep. So they're probably providing good services in places, but not here. And, I gave them a chance to address it. And I would have treated them fairly. You guys have seen my interviews. I never play stump the chump. I never ask questions that are going to embarrass people intentionally. Never done that. Never once done that. Okay, now where's this at? Where did I put that at? Huh. I made those images. Where the heck are they at? Huh, now I can't find them. Well, that figures. Damn it. I just made those videos. That's frustrating. That's a test flying academy. No, they're not here. I've got them somewhere. I just don't know where they are. Let me open up. I know how I can get to them. It's in PowerPoint. I don't know how I saved it. It would be this one here, if they're there. Maybe I didn't make them. I thought I made slides for that. That's interesting. Huh. Oh, there it is. I did make a slide. Okay. There you go. Okay, cool. So I did make a slide. All right, so here you go. So this is what Church World Service gets. So that's the most recent year I could find publicly available. I don't have more recent. I'd have to go look for their release of documents, but I'm not sure they released them, their financial reports. 2022, 2023 fiscal year. So we're talking 2 complete fiscal years ago. Their funding was $220 million, of which $186 million came from the U.S. government. So they got $33,600,000 from other sources. Those are the donors from the United States Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, Bureau of Population, Refugees and Migration, Department of Health and Human Services, and the Office of Refugee Resettlement, ORR. From other places, European Union, Japan, Australia, UN, Rockefeller Brothers, Bread for the World, Dan Church Aid, Ford Foundation, and the Open Society Foundation of George Soros. International Orthodox Christian Charities. The Open Society Foundation of George Soros. They get funding from. I don't know how much funding, but look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Open Society Foundation. Interesting, eh? Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say that's interesting? I would say that's interesting. Yeah, Phoenix says an awful lot, doesn't it? Lives in Brockpan, okay. The police have already written a statement up. He was just robbed. That's pretty fast. Usually don't respond for days. Deny, deflect, defend. What you do when you know you have been caught. Yep. I don't know if a few phone calls are flying. I mean, look, I'm not a big channel. I'm not that influential. They shouldn't be bothered by it. They should be nonplussed by it. Except that I know that a congressman has been contacted. I didn't contact a congressman. I didn't. But I'm going to do research on my own, find more about these organizations. So I made a list of refugee places. Now, my chicken scratch, you can't read it. These are all refugee places in Rochester supposed to help people. I went to Refugees Helping Refugees. They weren't at the place. It said they moved. Okay, people moved. I went to the address they listed. It was a parking lot. When I spoke to the gentleman, the Afghan guy at the other place before the thing blew up, he said, oh, no, they're on this street, but south. I'm like, oh, South Plymouth. Well, that's not what the sign says, and I showed him. It just says Plymouth Street, not South Plymouth Street, so I didn't know that. So I never got a chance to go there because I just moved on. Then I went to Legal Assistance of Western New York because apparently they provide legal services for refugees. But like I said, it was a dodgy looking location. And I couldn't find parking, so I just bailed on that. Then I went to Rochester Refugee Resettlement Services, which is the place I went to. But before I got there, Mad Max told me that the CWS was at a location near there. It was on the same street. So I parked down the street in front of the other place. And it was a church. And I went in, and very lovely, fantastic. I'm like, oh, good, a news story. I can be objective and balanced here. I can report how things are going well in Rochester, not just people's complaints. That'd be nice. That's what I tried to do. And then what unfolded. Yep. And there's a couple other places here. I just didn't bother going to them. Saints Place, Catholic family, something. Didn't go to them. So, yep. So Rochester is the home of Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass, two of the greatest Americans that ever lived. Susan B. Anthony, the suffragette who fought for women's right to vote. Of course, she's very, very well known for that. From Rochester, apparently. And then I'm not sure how you consider Frederick Douglass from Rochester, but I guess that's what he made his home eventually. But Frederick Douglass, one of the greatest orators and writers in the history of the Republic, a truly a remarkable human being who brought himself up by his bootstraps, escaped slavery. Frederick Douglass, an absolutely brilliant person who had a big influence, if I'm not mistaken, on Abraham Lincoln. But Frederick Douglass, also from Rochester. And of course, Eastman Kodak, one of the most influential companies in the world, built up there and headquartered there for a long time. So it's got an interesting heritage. The Erie Canal runs through there. That's also interesting as well. And it's very close to Lake Ontario. And so very interesting. But on average, the city welcomes 1,100 refugees per year. And when you go to Costco or to Walmart, it's like being in the United Nations. Only about 40% of the people there are white or black Americans that are from there. The rest were all immigrants that I saw in Costco and Walmart. Yep. Hey, Carlos, what's up? Engels Aborza, Bodeki, and I have no idea what you got there. Good morning to you. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So big mistake. It just should just let it go. You know, should never have behaved in that fashion. I was actually leaving. See, no impulse control. No impulse control. Hey, Ronell, what's up? That's what I thought it was, but it's too much to read there. It's all run together there. CBB, thanks. Yep. It's too much to read together. So yeah. Anyway, Rochester. I got a picture of the Kodak building. Stopped at a robot and nothing happening. So sitting there for a few minutes, and I just stuck the phone out the window and took a picture here. So let me see if I can find it. Let me see how it came out. Oh, this is funny too. Hang on a second. It's not there. It is. I didn't take many pictures. So that's the Kodak building. It's abandoned. No longer in operation. Kodak at the top. It's hard to see, but there you go. You can see Kodak there at the top. So it's just abandoned. They're not even using it. Just completely. I don't know if anybody's in the building, but there's no cars parked. There's thousands of parking spots thousands out back, and nothing. So here I did a widescreen of it too. Kodak building. So really sad. Really sad. Now, here's a funny thing. So when I was interviewing one of the refugees, I said, talk about cars. I mean, you won't buy a Maserati. And then I left. I haven't seen a Maserati probably in America, I don't know, in a couple of years. And I leave their house, and I drive back on the main street going to the other refugee's house. And what do I see in front of me parked at a robot but a Maserati? There's a Maserati right there in Rochester, New York, a Maserati. Oh, that is just so karma. That is just so kismet. I mean, what are the odds of that? That was too funny. Too funny, man. That's too funny. I got a kick out of that. Anyway. Oh my goodness. What are the odds of that? I just joked about a Maserati, and 5 minutes later, there's one right in front of me, the robot. You just can't believe this stuff. It's pretty funny. So yeah, I laughed my butt off. I had a robot. South Africans are here tonight. There's a few Americans. Dogzilla's one of them. Not many other Americans here tonight. So yeah. Yeah, anyway. Something else. Anyway, so rather than being finished with Rochester and moving on, now I have an interest in Rochester and what's going on. So, shame. Shouldn't have behaved that way. I mean, look, I have people who promise to come on my program or ask me to come to their program, then they disappear. Remember, what's her name there? She never got back with me. Can't remember her name right now. What's her name? Yeah, and then Laura Logan, because Rob Hersolf asked her to have me on, and then she promised, have me on, and then she's just disappeared on me too. So whatever. Yeah, but I mean, that happens, and then I just forget about it, don't worry about it, just move on. I can't remember the other lady's name, the one that embarrassed Ibrahim Rasul on that broadcast. I wanted to have her on, and she said she would come on, and then never heard from her again. Yep, so anyway. But this I won't forget now, and I would have forgotten. I would have just moved on, and that would have been the end of it. Would have brought it up occasionally, but not really focused on it. Emma, thank you. Thanks for reminding me. Let me see. Maybe she emailed me now. Maybe she did. Never know. Maybe she emailed me. Okay, where's my mail? I had to turn my computer off while I was out of town, so. Emma. Well, it's not showing up. Was it Emma? Let's see who I sent. No, it wasn't Emma. Emma doesn't show up. Emily is Emily. It was Emily. Emily Schrader or something like that. Yeah, Emily Schrader. There she is. Nope. November 22nd. She said she'd come on the program. Haven't heard from her. Almost 2 months later. She said send her a WhatsApp. I sent her WhatsApp. Nothing there either. Whatever. I have a message from Church World Services International that came here at 6 p.m. while I was on the road. Offices were closed. Yes, I get that. Acknowledging receipt of communications late last week and earlier today. They have a formal policy and protocol that guides a rigorous review of response and all complaints to clients regarding the delivery. Okay. Cannot share additional information about individual cases with external third parties. That's fine. They say they're committed to serving people with dignity and respect. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I will tell them to contact CWS directly. But whom did they contact? So CWS did respond to me. There's an email. It doesn't really say much anything, and that's fine. I don't care to know about people. All I was going to communicate to them was what people told me, and they can reach out to them. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Yeah, so that's fine. Yeah. So I suppose if I become the attorney, pro se, for these people, maybe it's different then. Maybe it's different then. But CWS did respond to me finally. So, yeah. Interesting. Who's this? Anyway, so yeah, so they did send me an email. I'll respond to it. Yeah. All right. So, sorry. Yeah, so they did. No, he was on the phone. He was checking text messages. Standard PR response. Yep. Yep. Well, look, if it steps up the game, that's what I'm looking for. Just do the job that they're being paid for. That's all I ask. I have nothing for or against them. I do have something against the Episcopal Church. It's a racist organization. I do have something against the Episcopal Church for their bigotry and racism. Absolutely. Don't have any such dog against Church World Service. In fact, I've defended them. In fact, someone just sent me a WhatsApp saying they're going to write and complain about RSC, and I'm like, okay, thanks, but I'm not going to be involved in that. That's I defend RSC. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's Church World Service I'm commending with because they're the ones providing services over here, not providing. Thank you for going above and beyond what's required. We truly appreciate everything you do for us. You're very welcome, Annie. Yeah, but I'm taking a lot of grief for it and a lot of personal attacks, and it's unwarranted. I was professional. I was polite. I didn't try to embarrass anybody. I also didn't make any false allegations. I didn't claim anything. I simply asked questions, and I said, that people are supposed to be getting things. And what people told me, look, I haven't even shared all the stuff that people told me. It's far worse than what I said. Far worse than what I said. Because it doesn't do anybody good. The goal was just to get them to respond. Look, as I said, I'm not looking for a Nick Shirley moment. I'm not going to have 1 million subscribers. That's not what this is about. We pay for a service. Someone is supposed to provide that service. Now, unlike another content creator says, it's not the government's fault. It is the government's fault. This is the difference between someone that doesn't know what they're talking about, that's in the private sector, or a civilian that's never worked with this. And a person that's worked in the government, that's worked with contracting, that's overseen government contractors. Me. They either perform the standards, or they're penalized, or they're dropped. And the government's responsible for making sure the services are being provided. We don't sign a contract with someone and say, okay, collect the trash, and then we wait till somebody complains about it. 3 years later, half the neighborhoods didn't have their trash collected. No. We go around and check. You spot check. Well, Tuesday, you didn't pick up the trash. Oh, okay. There was snow. You sent a letter out to people. You're coming Wednesday. Okay? The government is responsible. The U.S. government is responsible for overseeing these contracts. We have government technical monitors in the State Department, GTMs. We have coders, contracting officers, technical representative in the Department of Defense. They are the day-to-day managers of these contracts. I was a GTM for the State Department, overseeing the contracts with DynCorp and PAE in Liberia to rebuild the Armed Forces Liberia. I had daily oversight, and I made the daily executive decisions about that program and the direction it was going, in coordination with the contracting officer who had the warrant to sign for the millions of dollars, which I didn't have. I made the decisions, communicated that to her. She made it happen. In the Department of Defense, I was a contracting officer's technical representative, overseeing defense contracts for delivery of services and goods. I wrote a contract for Raytheon. They gave me $5 million because they wanted a project. I designed the project all on my own. I wrote the contract, not a contracting officer. Ran it by the contracting officer. Good to go, Wyatt. Proved it. Raytheon signed a contract. I was there every week. I had multiple meetings with these people every week. Now, I don't expect that for a contract like this, but the U.S. government is responsible. Don't let anybody tell you the U.S. government's not responsible. They are responsible. They're responsible to themselves and to us as taxpayers. Hey, future looks bright. No. I'm not talking about. What I'm saying is that the government is responsible. The government is responsible for overseeing these contracts. I did not go with my 4Runner Loretta because it has no Sirius XM radio. It has no GPS, and it's used a lot more gas. By the way, driving around locally, because I haven't been on the highway much, I haven't driven much lately, I was getting 17 miles to the gallon. Now I'm getting 27 miles to the gallon. because it was mostly highway driving. So I increased my mileage by 10 miles per gallon by driving all that way. Yeah. Getting a lot more gas, a lot more miles. So on a tank of 14 gallons, that's 90 and then 36, 90, 126 more miles per tankful. So that's almost 200 kilometers. That is 200 kilometers. I'm getting 200 kilometers more per tankful by driving on the highway than I was locally. That was pretty good. Still cost me petrol to get up there. Well, thank you, Annie. That's very kind of you. A true patriot, a perfect example of a responsible citizen. I try to be. I try to be. We all make mistakes. Conrad's been great service, caseworker, no complaints. Exactly, Conrad. Almost nobody has complaints. It's very few cases. That's why this was such an outlier. 10% national budget could be fraud. Yeah, I don't doubt that. Easily. Easily. Art Queen gave $2. Thank you, Art Queen. Somebody's in the States. Thank you so much. Hercules. American taxpayers should be livid over this, but sadly some are angry at the refugees instead of demanding oversight. Should be angry at the refugees. Should be angry at the Somalis who are fraudsters and anyone else is a fraudster, but not angry at refugees. Refugees aren't the ones running this. They're the victims of it, just like the taxpayer. But it's much worse for them. Can you imagine coming to this country from Afghanistan? You don't speak English. You speak it very poorly. You've got a wife and a small child. You're dumped in a hotel or an apartment, given no money, no food, no contact. They just leave you there and are gone for a week. So one of the refugee families I want to visit, thank you, Mad Max. One, is that the thing I already reported on? The thing he put out? Oh, the 77-year-old man. Yeah, got it. Yep. Yeah, no, I've got that. I'm going to talk about that. 77-year-old man was stabbed to death in a cemetery visiting his son's grave. His son who died 45 years ago when he was 3. Yeah, so, anyway, I lost track. Where's that? Your Corvette gets 32 miles per gallon? I must need a tune-up. Forewarned, forearmed, by them better to retreat with dignity and regroup for a new day. They knew forehand by trailer within your midst, trying to damage the government. Who's trying to damage whose reputation with the government? Ain't misdirected. What anger? Karen, what are you talking about? What did I miss here? Oh, no. Yeah, no one's angry or upset with that. Yeah, got it. You said that. Okay. No, Art Queen, I know exactly what's going on. Let me tell you what happened here. You guys don't have conspiracy. This is what happened. The night before, I did a stream about Church World Services. And then that morning, I did a live stream. I also communicate Church World Services. They probably chose to ignore my messages. And then that term came up. I have a search term on Google. Anytime that Wyatt in Liberia comes up, I get an alert from Google. Because anytime somebody writes about security sector reform, I want to know about it. Because I left that program there in 2008. I want to know what's going on. So I still get updates on it occasionally. Wyatt, Liberia. Someone talks about me in Liberia. I get updates. They probably have search terms, and they get alerts from Google anytime somebody says Church World Service. Yep. Yeah. So I'm sure that what happened is that someone watched one or both of those videos, and that's what reacted to. Nobody's following me around. Okay, so Art Queen, you do know what I used to do, right? Right? Okay. So, yeah. Counter surveillance. Anyway, no, I wasn't being followed around. No, someone watched the video, publicly available, and that's what probably prompted it. Yep. And that's why they replied to my email today. Exactly right. Because I did those videos. I titled the one Church World Services Rochester. So if someone wants to look for Church World Services Rochester because they're looking up, they'll do a search term. They'll probably get my video if YouTube shows it. They'll click on it and go, what the hell is going on there? That wasn't my intent. My intent was for my audience because they knew I was going to Rochester, knew I was going to Church World Service. Imagine refugees didn't have someone like you, Colonel. Thank you for so much you've done. Well, there's other people trying to help. I mean, while she's an evil, nasty person, Shelley Hepburn has tried to help people. She hasn't always helped them, but she tried to help people. So, I mean, that's not long. Lily, who's already over here as refugees, trying to help people. The ladies group that are here in America, that are South Africans live here or naturalized South Africans that are living here, they've been helping people. I'm not the only person, but yeah. So Exactly. So, yeah, they can minimize all they want, but the situation is quite telling. And I would much rather have dealt with Church World Services in Indiana. That's why I contacted them. I contacted them last year, and I contacted them later in the year. They just ignored it. They only responded when I made these videos and went to Rochester. That's it. Coincidence? Not a coincidence. And they said, well, we couldn't respond yesterday because of the holiday. I know that. That's why I drove up on Monday. I didn't expect them to respond on Monday. They responded tonight at 6 p.m., so they're in Indiana. It's 5 p.m. for them, or 5:18 for them, after duty hours. They had all day to respond. They had last week to respond. It was late in the week, but it wasn't the first time I communicated to them. I would much rather just ask them, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Could you look into this? It's disturbing. I don't want to talk about a specific case. I want to talk to you about generalities. I don't want to beef with Church World Service. I want them to do their job. And I don't begrudge Rick Santos making $384,000 a year. I think we'd all like to make $384,000 a year. But with that pay comes responsibility. Why on earth would any CWS employee spend their days watching videos? Well, Dogzilla, why on earth would any corporate public relations firm watch videos or read Twitter? Because it affects their business. Dude, I mean, you work for Boeing. You don't think Boeing has people in public relations watching videos and reading Twitter and Facebook? Come on. You're not serious. Proudly Burr, thank you for 50 Rand super sticker. Appreciate that. No, Yaku, that's one reason why I came all the way back. I was actually going to stay up there tonight and maybe do a thing or two tomorrow. But I mean, after that abusive treatment and that guy really was losing his mind, I'm like, I've accomplished all I need to accomplish here. I went and did a couple refugee interviews and left town. And I was still going to stay. I was going to stay in Corning, but then I'm like, it wasn't dark yet when I got to Corning. So I said, I'll go a bit further. I can get to Mansfield. And I'm like, I'm in PA. The roads are clear. What if it snows overnight and then I got to fight the snow tomorrow? The roads are clear now. The deer aren't running at this time of year. They're not rutting, so it's not rutting season. That's already ended in November, early December. So let's just push, and I pushed on, and the traffic was light rather than fight it during the daytime. So yeah, I just pushed on. No, it's not a question of not drinking Starbucks anymore. I'm just going without it for a little while. Yep, and then Arctic is just gone. Where did Arctic go, man? He's been gone for a while. Exactly, Hendo. PR for companies is very important, and perception affects the profit margins. 100%. 100%. I will respond to their email, and I will thank them. No, there's no coincidence here, Jules. The email was because I did the videos. It's because I did the videos. And again, I don't have a dog in the fight with them. And I don't know why that guy went off his rocker. I was there to do a good story. See, that's the thing. It's ironic. I was leaving when he came in. I thanked everybody. They were friendly and polite to me. If they never called me back, then I might have called and said, hey, can we talk? And if he was smart, the guy would have said, nah, well, we have to get approval from our headquarters and our board really doesn't want us talking to the media. And I'd be like, okay, it's a shame. You got a good news story there. But instead, that guy was abusive. And now I'm going to look for a nexus. I'm also going to investigate the other things that refugees told me. So, I'm going to keep picking at that scab. Oh, I don't know that they're an ICE target. I didn't see any ICE on the streets here. What does the email say? Not much, Yaku. It's just a standard, we don't answer questions about our clients because we have to protect them. I got that. I didn't ask you to answer questions about your clients. I wrote to them. I'll tell you what I wrote to them. I'll tell you what I wrote to Church World Services. Let's see. Gentlemen, I'm Colonel Retired Chris Wyatt, a consultant and independent journalist who's been covering the South African refugee story here in the U.S. and in South Africa since February 7th, 2025. For the past several weeks, I've been getting disturbing stories about the lack of support and claimed abuse or neglect of South Africans whose cases you accepted in Rochester. What the refugees tell me is deeply disturbing and unacceptable, if it's true. I've not contacted you previously in part because I prefer to confirm stories folks share before reporting them. However, the video I received earlier this evening is of concern. I would like to give you an opportunity to respond to the concerns and allegations being made. Our preference is to sort this out rather than elevate it. Thank you. Please contact me at your earliest convenience. Sent on Thursday last week. Now, I'll allow that they probably had a 4-day weekend. Maybe they had a 4-day weekend. Anyway, whatever. Previous emails, and I'm not alone. Professor G, I saw his email. He said he's written to them many times, and they said he's an attorney. They ignored him. He's an attorney. Yeah. No, David, they're not trying to damage my reputation. They haven't said anything about me. And that wasn't CWS. CWS is not trying to damage my reputation. They didn't say anything about me. And it wasn't CWS where the guy acted like a clown. It was another organization. Might have a dog in the fight, but you're a bull in the fight. Okay. It's about accountability. Exactly. Thank you, Garrett. Yeah. What's with Dogzilla and his hate talk and silly politics? Dude, what are you talking about? There's no hate talk here. There's no silly politics. There's a failure to uphold a contract, which is harming people that we've offered safety and security to. I didn't approve any refugees coming to this country. I had no say in it. Our government did that without our consent. But they did it. They made a promise. They need to fulfill that promise. And the people that they've hired to fulfill that promise have an obligation to do what they're paid to do. It's as simple as that. It's nothing more. Nothing more. Again, my tone wasn't accusatory. I didn't accuse them of anything. I just said it's concerning what the refugees are telling me. That's why I went to Rochester, to talk to the refugees, to find if they were embellishing, if they were being hysterical, if they were misleading us. Not that they were lying, but people get wrapped up in their emotions when things aren't going their way. Maybe that was it. But I met with them, and we talked for 3 or 4 hours, and I left with a sense that that wasn't the case. Now, I will say I did go, and I've been told by a couple of refugees that they were living in a ghetto. I've been to a couple of the houses where the refugees live, and I wouldn't call those ghettos. I would call them places that unfortunately I lived in when I was a youth, lower income neighborhoods, but not ghettos. I've been in a ghetto. I know what a ghetto is. I lived in one in Maryland, and I lived in one in Buffalo, just to the west of there. So I know what a ghetto is really like, Yeah, so I wouldn't really call it ghettos where they're. I'd just say they're the low income areas. And both of them live in houses, the 2 families I visited. So anyway, yeah. It's Stefan White. 40. Ouch, that's a big far cry from here. Far cry from here. Modified Intel, what's going on, buddy? So my trip was interesting to Rochester. I don't know if you saw that Modified Intel. Interesting day indeed. Discovered some things. Froze my butt off. Saw Rochester. Interviewed some refugee families. Interviewed some other refugees who aren't South African. And got verbally accosted by some clown. Yeah, Garrett, I'm sure you've been nasty places. Malcolm, what's going on, man? What's up? There's an OG, Malcolm Clody. Yep. Anyway, I actually have a few news items to share with you guys if you're curious. And by the way, this sure isn't about the clicks. If I show you what's happened to my channel the past 4 days, off a cliff, man. Let me look at the analytics. So a week ago on the 12th, 125,000 views. Next day, 120,000 views. Next day, 96,000 views. Wednesday. Thursday, 94,000 views. And then things get crazy. Friday, 75. Saturday, 54, which is pretty good considering I had rugby all Saturday. Sunday, 52. Monday, 41,000. From 125 to 41,000. Good thing I don't do this for the clicks. No, I didn't record the guy. I didn't record the guy screaming at me on the street. Didn't do that. I made a video while I was still screaming, but you can't really hear him. I was like 40 meters down the street, but I could hear him. Oh, the wind was hectic where I was at. It was 30 knots and 14 degrees. No, I didn't lose any subscribers. I've gained. Oh, I lost 5 tonight. Oh, yeah. I was at 700. I've lost 5 tonight. And 121,700 tonight. And since I started streaming now, I've lost 5. Probably trolls. Probably trolls that came on, they couldn't chat, and they left. No, that happens every day. Trolls come on, they wait the requisite amount of time so they can chat, and then they leave. Gold! Always believe in your soul. You're indestructible. Always believe in gold. Spandau Ballet. Oh, what a great band. What a great band. Oh, no, he did record me from down the street, but, I mean, he's got to see my bum walking away from a couple 100 yards, 100 plus meters, yeah. And, yeah, he did. Yep. Oh, someone else said they're stateside, yep. Oh yeah, you shared this one. Hang on, I think I saved it. So this is what Mad Max did. Mad Max made this yesterday, but I was on the road, so I haven't saved my PC. I just saved my PC now. So here you go. This is funny. So mainstream media. Boy, Max gives me a lot of wrinkles in these things. I'm not so sure I love these, but here is Buckman. I like this one. Mainstream media. And Buckman's got him. What's wrong with your husband? Spandau Ballet is awesome. Know this much is true with a thrill in my heart. Yep. So there's Buckman. It's pretty good, huh? Oh boy, that's good. I like how the mainstream media guy's got a couple screens attached to his arms. Well, Michael, I told you all when I did the video last night to go to Nick Shirley's videos and say if you're interested in potential fraud, you need to take a look at what's going on with refugee assistance. Here's a case in Rochester. Colonel Wyatt has come across. Yep. You guys should go on Nick Shirley's videos, post a link, and get people to come over. That'd be helpful. Yeah, I had at the start of this 121,700. Now I've lost 5 subscribers. Oh, what a tragedy. Silence is gold. Won't someone listen? Something is stolen. I've been broken. Huh? Keep an eye on your PayPal. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Let me go to PayPal. Probably have to sign in again with a dual factor authentication, no doubt. Yep. Send me a text. Okay. I forgot a couple things. Actually, I took pretty much everything I needed for this trip, so it worked out pretty well. Oh, I need to send a note there. In the old days, when you dial, people would know what the number is because they could hear the each time going through. Thank you, Sven. I know you mentioned that, but I think you were the only one that did it. All right. I got a trip donation from Fiona Lennon. Thank you for that, Fiona. It's very kind of you. Thank you so much for that. Fiona sent British pounds. Thank you so much for that. I already covered someone else. And then I've got... all right, cool beans. Thank you guys very much for that. Trip donations. Okay, thank you so much for that. Very kind of you. Really do appreciate that. Super kind. I'll keep an eye on my PayPal. 2 off days will be joining my party of friends for 5-day break in Hawaii soon. All right, that's nice. That's nice. Thanks for sharing that, Dogzilla. All right, a little bit of news now, folks. Let's get to that. Okay. The U.S. economy is growing at a rate that is kind of high. I'm not going to send a word of caution, but also remember these numbers are likely to be revised up or down in 30 days. So, yeah, I will make a prepared video on this, Sven. I'll do that. So, I will do that, but I need some rest tonight. I might do it in the morning. Well, that's not what I want. How'd that get there? This is what I want. Howard Lutnick expects U.S. first quarter growth above 5%. Are you serious? An economy of $30+ trillion will grow at annualized 5% GDP growth? That's insane, folks. That's absolutely insane. 5%? We haven't had 5% in decades. 5%. That's a lot. That's a lot. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said on Tuesday expected first quarter growth in GDP would exceed 5% for the first quarter of 2026, adding that its interest rates were too high and were holding back stronger growth. Well, you got to be careful. You grow too fast, inflation creeps in there. Our rates should be much lower so that our economy can finally flourish. I think we're going to grow more than 5%. Okay, well, that's his projection. That may not come true. But we are growing at 4.3% in the last quarter, so that's pretty impressive. No, I got to change the username. I got that. So Lutnick says we're growing. Congress has moved forward on funding. They're trying to avoid the shutdown, folks. Dodging a shutdown. A bipartisan deal would keep the government open after the January 31st deadline. Congress on track to avoid another government shutdown at the end of the month after lawmakers released a bipartisan agreement on 4 remaining funding bills. The $1.2 trillion package would fund the Department's Defense, Homeland Security, Labor, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Transportation and Education, making up the lion's share of federal funding Congress controls. There's a week and a half before the shutdown deadline. Democrats raised concerns about funding DHS, which includes Immigration Customs Enforcement, after an ICE officer shot and killed a dangerous woman in Minneapolis. Yep. The suggestion that a shutdown in this moment might curb the lawlessness of the administration is not rooted in reality, said Patty Murray. Neither is her statement about lawlessness. She's an idiot. The top Democrat in the Senate Appropriations Committee. Yep. Most House Democrats are expected to reject the DHS funding over concerns about ICE. Anyway, so there you go. So it looks like we might be able to avoid a shutdown. That's good news, especially for South Africans who want to come over here. Yeah, they're still calling it Department of Defense. It's the Department of War. But it hasn't been officially renamed other than by the Trump administration. So, because it's in legislation. The 1947 National Security Act is named the Department of Defense. It used to be the Department of War. The 1947 National Defense Act created the CIA, the Director of Central Intelligence, the National Security Agency, and also the Department of Defense. Yep. So we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about South Africa tonight, but I will talk about this. This is good news. Not big news, but good news. Intra-African trade is boosting South African economy. Africa is making measured progress in diversifying its market through intra-continental trade. I haven't seen that. With South Africa needing to urgently create the correct investment environment to see opportunities for factory build programs. The Trade Law Center says South Africa's exports under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement preferences hit 820 million last year, rand. This compared to South Africa recording 692 billion in total trade with other African countries in 2024. So it grew by 130 million rand. Okay? 130 million rand. Okay? 130 million rand. So 130 million, let's do the math. Okay. It's not even $10 million. 130 million. Whoops, that's a billion. 130 million divided by 17. That's not right. Oh yeah, it's 7.6 billion. Is that right? I'm doing something wrong here. No, where did I get 113? I don't know where I got that from. Oh, okay. 820 million rand. Okay. 820 million rand. What the hell was I thinking there? Divided by 17 equals 48 million. So $48 million. So all the trade that South Africa had with Africa under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement increased by $48 million. Meanwhile, U.S. South Africa trade is $22 billion. $22 billion. And an increase of 48 million is going to offset that. Wow, that's some real good math there. So you've increased Africa trade between all the countries in Africa, 54 countries in Africa, so 53 other countries. You've increased, and not all are, but most of them are in agreement. You've increased your total trade with the entire continent by $48 million. That's less than $1 million per country on average. Meanwhile, your trade of $22 billion with the U.S. is in jeopardy, with a trade surplus of $7 billion. Fakina Mabalula defends South Africa's participation in BRICS. ANC Secretary General Fakina Mabalula has defended South Africa's participation in recent BRICS exercise. He said, what did he say? He said the drills were not initiated by South Africa, but formed part of a broader BRICS-led initiative driven by China, with South Africa merely providing a platform for the exercise. Except that doesn't comport with the truth. So Fakina Mabalula just lied, or he's ignorant. So, Exercise Mosi 1 in 2019 was primarily a South African initiative, though historical accounts indicate that it arose from a specific Russian request to expand maritime cooperation with BRICS nations, not China. The development of the exercise can be attributed to the following key actors: South Africa as host and primary South Africa as initiator, primary host, and organizer. Initiated the concept to strengthen its already flourishing relations with Russia and China. In 2026, India's Ministry of External Affairs explicitly clarified that these drills were a South African initiative rather than an institutionalized BRICS activity. The formalization of the concept occurred during a main planning conference in October 2019 at the South African Navy Fleet headquarters in Simonstown. The meeting was led by Rear Admiral Bubele Mlana, South Africa's flag officer fleet, who welcomed participating delegations, Rear Admiral Chizuki Yuzhong, the People's Liberation Army Navy, and Rear Admiral Vladimir Zemskov, Russian Federation Navy. The theme for the first exercise, joint actions to ensure safety of shipping and maritime economic activity, was agreed upon by all three nations during the planning stages. It was initiated, it was hosted, and it was planned by South Africa. But Fikile Mabalula claims that it wasn't a South African initiative. It was started by the BRICS players. The guy lies. Every time he talks, he lies. Everything he says, he talks out his ass. Unbelievable. Yep. Never been to Hawaii. I was offered an assignment there. 1997, the Army offered me Field Station Kinea. So I would have worked at a strategic intelligence location in Hawaii, focusing on the Pacific. And I turned it down. They also offered me Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas, and I turned that down. You might be wondering why. Why would you turn down Hawaii? A lot of reasons, but I turned it down. I didn't go to Hawaii. All right, take care. Yep, thank you all for the super chats that have come in so far. I appreciate that. And 183 likes, appreciate that. Yep. You could have worn shorts in Hawaii all day. True, Charles. True. I could have worn them in Texas all day too, except in the wintertime. Yep. No, I turned both assignments down, and I took Italy instead. No regrets. Took Italy instead. As a consequence, I was involved in Bosnia, deployed to Bosnia, also was involved in the Kosovo campaign. Wouldn't have been involved in either one of those campaigns in Hawaii, and I would have been stuck in Hawaii for 3 years. And I don't like beaches, I don't surf, so it would have got old pretty fast. Hawaii, nice place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there. Wouldn't want to live there. Garrett says, good choice. I think so. From Italy, I was able to go to Croatia and to Hungary and Romania. Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, I had a field office in Livorno, which is next to Pisa. So I got to go to Pisa. and I got to go to Florence quite a bit. I used to go to a place where I bought these marble figurines. Like, let me see if I can go grab one and show you one of my rhino. Let me see if it's in here. I'll be right back. So there's a place in Italy that makes these, and my unit was nicknamed the Rhino Chasers because our mission was Africa. So my intelligence unit was called the Rhino Chasers. So I would go to this place just north of, let me see what the town is real quick. Maps. I can't remember now. It's been such a long time. Hang on. Give me a second here. Get out of the States. Get to Europe. Come on. Here's Italy. Here's Florence. Viareggio, I think that's where it was. Or a little bit north. It might have been Carrara. I think Carrara is the place it was. Just before La Spezia I would go to. So, yeah. So, they make these. So, check out this rhino. This is a rhino. Look at the detail on that. Isn't that incredible? It's made out of, like, marble. It's unbelievable. That's a baby rhino, okay? Here's the full-size one. Aren't those cool? This thing weighs a ton, by the way. This thing is heavy. That's a couple kgs. So you can see the size there. So I've got a few more smaller ones. Yep. Is this live still going? Yes, it is. Are you sorted, Jonathan? Italian chicks. Okay. Good morning, Angel. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, that's the stuff that's really important and matters to me. I mean, you know, it's the memories and the things that you know, that helps remember. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate the update. Yeah, it's pretty incredible, isn't it, Ronell? I've got lots of stuff like that. And right next to it, I've left the Bushman ostrich shell belt right next to it there. So, yeah, all those things have meaning. So, yeah, so pretty cool stuff. Last week I showed you guys the stuff from Oaxaca, Mexico that I bought in San Antonio. Uh-oh, breaking 911. This must be U.S. related. Must be U.S. related. Let's see. Air Force One has made a sudden U-turn off the East Coast. Whoa, what the hell? That's not good.
Air Force One, do you need any assistance? And I do have the routes to Andrews when you're ready. Air Force One, clear direct to Andrews.
No response. What the hell? What is going on here? Air Force One was headed to Davos, and look at this, it turned around. What the hell is going on? Look at that. 31,000 feet. I hope somebody has that in President Trump. Holy smokes, what's going on? Why is Air Force One turning back? What is going on? Oh, I don't know what to speculate there. Let me see if I can't get a Fox News or something like that. Update. Wow. Let's see. Yeah, let's see what's going on there. That's crazy. Now I'm concerned. I don't have a TV in this room. That's one thing I don't have in here. Yeah, sign me in. Good Lord, it's so slow. Come on, sign in. Okay. Government motorcade has been racing too. Oh my goodness. Oh, there it was. Fox News Tonight. Let me see. I won't be able to show it, but I can hear it. Minor electrical issue, huh?
Both the kind that is obviously mobile, but also lots of paper and computers, etc. So I'm just trying to take a look here to see what they're going to be bringing off. It will probably be everything that the president and his senior staff needs to quickly get on the next aircraft to make their way over
Okay, so
to
the president's
Davos as soon
okay.
as possible.
Yeah, and speaking of Davos, Kevin, stand by if you would. I want to bring in, just very quickly, give you an idea of who's on board. You have, as we said, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is on there, Susie Wiles, James Blair, Bo Harrison, Stephen Miller, Robert Gabriel, Stephen Chun, Kevin Hassett, Caroline Leavitt, Will Scharf, Ross Worthington, and the Ambassador Monica Crowley are on board, as well as, a full slate of press clearly on board this thing. And the question to you, I'm going to bring in Jack Posobiec here, but back to you, Kevin Cork, very
Jack
quickly.
Posobiec, please.
Would you anticipate that they would try to get the press and all of the cabinet members on the same plane with the president heading back across to Davos?
This is why they pay the big bucks, my friend. You asked the right question. My suspicion is no. I would have the press come separately.
Yep,
Back
commercial.
in the day, we used to fly a press charter, which was separate from Air Force One
Right.
on occasion. Now, the pool would obviously be on Air Force One, but then the overwhelming majority of the press would travel either commercial or by charter. I suspect they will have them separate, although it would still be, I think, wise to have some sort of a pool presence traveling with the president.
So now you know why we have to have the gutter aircraft, because our Air Force One's got a fault. So, yeah, I had to turn back. Why are we talking Jack Posobiec? That guy doesn't know anything. I get a kick out of this. I don't know why he gets promoted.
This at length here, Jack. It's interesting because the president, clearly this is not shaking up the president or any of the cabinet members. It was a minor electrical issue. It is something they're just going to swap out planes and they're going to turn around. They're going to head back to Davos.
Yeah, but they'd already
As you
flown
look
for
at
like an
what's
hour and a
happening
half.
on the ground, maybe you can't see this, Jack, but what are you looking for as the president makes his way toward?
What does Jack Posobiec know about Air Force One? Let's hear what he's got to say.
We're here in Davos now. It's about 5:30 in the morning. It's going to warm up a little bit later. Sun up for another couple hours or so. But we're expecting, of course, the president to come in. He's got a slate of topics that he's going to get into.
Okay, that's nothing. We don't need to hear that. Well, another plane, Chris, we have more than one plane. Air Force One is not a permanent plane. Whatever plane the President of the United States is on, if it's a freaking crop duster, it's Air Force One. That's its call sign. It's Air Force One. So, yeah, we have other planes. It's not the only plane. Yeah, we spent a lot of money on these 747s. So, obviously, there was a problem with it. Yeah. Well, thanks for that update. That's an interesting breaking story here at this hour. Suffered an electrical issue after takeoff and his return. It wasn't after takeoff. It was sometime in the flight. They flew some distance. They are out over the Atlantic when they turned around past Cape Cod. But another Air Force aircraft continued his journey. Exactly. Well, to restart his journey, guy. Not continue. Restart. Because he went back. Anyway, they forgot to stop McDonald's. Well, there's no McDonald's over the ocean. So that's a problem. Yeah, my first thought was, my goodness, hoping there's a health issue with the president or something like that. I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, exactly. For F's sake, let's just get to my plane. Yep, so I lost those 3 subscribers. Now 2 have come back. 2 additional ones, or the same. Anyway. Let me read some of the comments on the harassed video. So I haven't seen this. They've been used to refugees that ask no questions, just obey and take everything at face value. Over the target. Someone definitely feels threatened by your presence, Colonel Chris. Please stay safe. Wow. The guilty always use intimidation, threats, and public humiliation. You're a shiz stir, bud, and you didn't go there to do anything good. And you are a liar. Nope. Nope. Looks like you found a rotten apple. You're a gentleman scholar. Sorry about being nasty. Well, the plot thickens. Grass is greener that side. Give it something. Those guys will be thrown by the time you give it a sentence. Yeah. Try saying something that. So the black supremacists are loving my video. Colonel Wyatt, you're one hell of a brave man. Thank you for trying to confront the relevant agency. I actually wasn't confronting anybody. That's the irony. There was no confrontation here. See, people are conflating stories. This wasn't Church World Service. And I wasn't trying to confront Church World Service. I was trying to get answers. This was a completely different organization. Completely different organization. That was a good news story. I said I was going to go try to find agencies that are helping refugees because maybe these other agencies can help the refugees since they're not getting the help from Church World Services. That's what I went to do. And the one place was in a dodgy part of town. The other place wasn't the place where it was listed online. And then they gave me an address. I went to the address. It didn't exist. It's a parking lot. Then I find out later on from the place that actually helped me before this idiot lost his mind in the other building that they're actually in a different street. So, yeah, this is completely... Anyway. Wow, sounds like you discovered something very shaky. Probably a lot of fraud. Why else would he be so upset? Yep. You know you're the target, we start getting flack. Can you take this further? Yeah, it is going further. Yep. And Denise Skuman gave me 70 Rand twice. Thank you for the Denise super chat. Something happened to me that I don't want a light shined on. Left on Hinge, I watched, yep. If everyone you meet treats you nice, it would mean you're not doing your job right. You're on the right track. Exactly. What are they hiding now? You open a can of worms, can't wait to see the outcome. Yep. Anyway, over the target. Yep. Exactly, Chris. So these people are saying, I went there to stir shit. I didn't go there to stir shit. I said, I'm going to go there and find out what's going on. Ask the South African refugees. Ask them. We sat there for 4 hours the night before. I was totally objective. I said, well, it could be this. It could be that. What you're telling me, maybe this is the reason why. That's what I said. See, none of you were able to sit there and hear that conversation for 4 hours when I talked to these guys. And I even said that. But when I found a Muslim who told me that his case officer said, why do you need halal meat? You eat dog. That's when I became angry. Just want to say God sent you, sir. You were grateful. You're welcome. You went to check if this was a universal New York problem and hoping it was just one center. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chris. This is exactly what it was all about. And I need a video when I'm done to explain that. People act like ass because they're guilty of something and trying to hide something. Exactly, Ronell. Charles said nothing means honey and Horlicks. Okay, I'll take your word for that. Yeah, they'll spew their hatred just because they can. Exactly. Liquid Razor removed his comments. I didn't see your comments, Razor. You removed them. Okay. Herman Lowe. Ironing my work shirt while admiring your rhinos. Yeah, those are pretty cool, huh? Yeah, there's other planes. Yeah, even if I did go there to stir crap, who cares? There's no reason to be treated like that. What I found is worth exposing, so there would be a good reason to stir shit anyway. Exactly, Neff. Exactly. It's like the whole thing about, well, it's on a monetized video. Yeah, okay, well, here's a little clue about YouTube. Either you monetize it or they monetize it, and they get 100%, you get nothing. So you do the work, you put the time and effort in, and YouTube profits from it. And what do you get? A free platform. That's all you get. So, yeah, videos monetized, so what? Get over yourself. Everyone's channel is monetized, whether you get money from it or not. People looking down at other people speaks a lot about their character. Exactly. And that was the whole point with Dogzilla earlier. He's like trying to dismiss this. I'm like, these people being treated like crap. Now, some of the South Africans thought they were being targeted specifically. And I said, it could be. But it could also be that they treat all refugees like this. And what do I find out? I talked to a handful of the refugees that dealt with that agency, and they were treated like crap from other countries, not just South Africans. So I didn't talk to everybody. I didn't see all of them. And I went to the other place, and the gentleman didn't have Church World Service. He had a different agency. The one that told me he had a very good experience wasn't Church World Service. I kind of wish it had been Church World Service. I could have said, well, see, Church World Service took care of him. And the guy I talked to who had a horrible experience, who was left in a hotel with no food for a week and no money, and then didn't get his food stamps for 2 months because they didn't do anything. Here's another piece of this too. Apparently New York has matching grants. So I have to look into this. I didn't know this. But apparently New York will give a matching grant that the federal government gives to refugees. But you must file within 30 days. You cannot file yourself. The agency has to do it for you. They're not doing it. One of the couples has already missed out on their 30 days. They get nothing. So their money could have been doubled. I don't know if this is factual. I need to look into it. This is what they told me. And the matching grant, if you don't do it within 30 days, you don't get the money. So how many people that have come over haven't gotten their matching grants? That's a fair question, right? Yep, but you're right. Even if I did go there to stir crap, so what? If they'd answer my phone call or return my messages or answer my email in a timely fashion last year, we wouldn't be where we are now. If they'd done so later in the year, we wouldn't be where we are now. If they'd done so last week, we wouldn't be where we are now. Exactly. You can't help but notice every time the socialist leftist mind virus do anything wrong, they dismiss it as nothing to see. But if the right does the same or less, yeah, heck to pay. Well, the perfect example is the lunatics who invaded a church service and violated the FACE Act. Racists who went to a church because they thought it had white supremacists there. They invaded church service and violated the FACE Act. It's a federal felony conviction. Don Lemon, federal felony conviction. And did you see him? I saw the video. I heard it, but then I saw the video. Hey, don't push me. Dude wasn't pushing you. It's just for effect. That guy's an ass. I don't know how he has a boyfriend. Because who would want to date such a dumbass? Someone that stupid. Exactly, Chris. It's upsetting. The Afghans couldn't even speak English. What were they supposed to do? Fortunately, the guy had a cousin that was in the area that so they didn't starve to death. Exactly, and that's the other thing. People are so grateful to be there. That guy was very grateful because he just got over here a year ago after the shit that Biden pulled 6 years ago. When can one get a complete list of all assistance? Well, you can go through the law, but it's not so easy. Some of the agencies provide it. So I have a list of what this agency says they're supposed to provide. Yep. So anyway. But whatever the case, here's the thing. Key events are not happening. EADs, Social Security numbers, transportation. So one of the families wasn't even given a tour of the house they're in. They went in the house because they were dropped off and the keys were left in a box outside. They got the keys, they walked in. They looked around the house, they went upstairs. The door was open, they walked in another family. because the landlord has divided the house into 2 apartments, a house. They weren't even notified. They weren't showed. They didn't even know that there was a basement in the house. Well, that's fair enough. A lot of South Africans don't have basements. That's a new experience for them. So they didn't know it was a basement. And in the basement's a washer and dryer. So they didn't even know they could wash their laundry there. It was there for their use. What kind of landlord doesn't have a manager show tenants the place? I mean, what kind of shit is this? It's unacceptable. I mean, it's bad enough you're an American and someone says, well, the keys are in the front box, just go in and help yourself. At least Americans understand how things work. But these are foreign nationals. Some of them from countries never had plumbing before. You show them how to use the washing machine, how to use the dryer, how to use the dishwasher if there is one, how to use the microwave. You show them where the toilet is if there's any problems. You give them a number, who to call if things aren't working. You don't just leave keys outside in a box and tell them to go fuck off and go there. This is unbelievable. And Dogzilla is correct for once. The number one thing that people feel safe. That's true. You're correct, Dogzilla. I mean, who does that? I would never rent my property out to someone without going there and showing them around. This is the heater. This is, if it breaks down, you have to change this filter every 90 days. Here's where you buy filters at. You can find another place, but this is the best deal. Make sure you replace the filter every 90 days. Put the date on it when you changed it. I mean, this isn't rocket science. They just dump people in a house. Here's the keys outside. Fuck off. What is that? If I had been a refugee agent, I would have been there too. Unless I'm overwhelmed. I've got 35 refugees to take care of. Yeah, that's the place I went. Mary's Place, a nonprofit refugee outreach center. Missions reach love and hope and service refugees. Yep. Yep, that's the place. Yep, that's the place. Yep. Inside a church. See, there's an Afghan flag, an Iraqi flag, a Congolese flag, an Ethiopian flag, a Somali flag, a Sudanese flag. All kinds of flags up there, and an American flag. Mary's Place. Open donations. This is the place where people are very friendly to me. They're very friendly to me. So they do hygiene projects, diapers, household items, household clothing goods, clothing. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yep, wonderful. But that's where the person verbally assaulted me. Everyone else was polite and friendly, but not that guy. Okay? Equal opportunity provider, no discrimination. Oh, well, there's discrimination. In 2022, we provided diapers on 459 occasions to 101 parents for their babies. Our previous supply has dried up. We're in need of donated diapers to continue providing these items. Please consider donating through Amazon. They've delivered food and hygiene goods to 900 people weekly since March 16th of 2020. With the end of the food stamp program in 2023, the need remains. Please share Amazon Wish. Yeah, they were really nice people. Yeah, they were, until that guy. Ooh, Chernobyl lost power after missile strike. That's not good. Mario Narwhal on X, Air Force One touchdown. Yeah, no, we already showed that, Beach Girl. Already covered that. Thank you. They're already swapping planes. They were given no choice, Anton. You weren't there. They were given no choice. They were presented a fait accompli. Either you sign the lease or you're done. You get no help from us. And then they got no help anyway. So, yeah. And they don't know any better. People don't know. They're coming to this country, never lived here before. You know, you're just thrilled to get out. Please check. Kagan Dunlap has reported. Picked it up just now. Picked what up? Gerben, fundamental, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Now, I don't think it's politically motivated against the refugees because I found it from refugees from all the countries. This is what I believe it is, okay? This is what I believe it is. And I said that when I was standing there in Rochester freezing. The one gentleman said that his agent now is very good. But then, you know, he's comparing that to the person who treated him so poorly previously. So anything would probably be amazing. So I believe this is what's happened. They don't vet the people they hire very well. They don't vet the people they hire very well. Or they don't supervise them. Also, the person who's the case officer for most of these refugees told me they've never met her. They've never met that case officer. They're fobbed off on an underling, and the underling isn't getting the job done. If they're complaining, who's helping? They're not being helped, Yaku. That's the problem. Church World Service in Rochester. I don't understand why you're confused. Yep, so I don't understand why people are confused by that. Anyway. I haven't found any other CWS centers. I haven't found any. And I went to the right place because I've seen the video of where the place is and the address. Yep. I was also told the address where their case officer's at. So, yep. Yep. So, yeah, there was no mistake. It was the right place. Anyway. Well, I need to make a video so people don't attack Mary's place. Mary's place is, from what I can see, doing a good job. It's just that the person there was a jerk. Yep. Yep. As far as I know, it was a good organization, so I have no beef with them. The fact that they have a jerk there, I don't even know if he works there. I assume he does because people deferred to him. It would make sense, but yeah, it was just unfortunate. Just unfortunate. Yep. So some bigot accused me of going there to stir trouble. Not true. Not true. Not true. I went there to find out what was going on and find a good news story. And I found a good news story. But unfortunately, someone ruined it. And now they made a big mistake because now we're going to have to do some searching. Going to have to do some research. That's a shame. And again, maybe it's just this guy because everyone else is quite nice. Just so thankful to be there and don't want to seem ungrateful. So just go along with what your caseworker says. Exactly. Loretta, it depends. That wasn't the case in other places. Some places they don't have housing right away, and they're waiting for it to be vacated. Someone might be in it, and the lease is up. They're leaving. A place might be being renovated or painted again, so you have to wait. So occasionally people move right into a place. Yep. Copy of client's rights and grievance policies provided to the client and maintain the case file. All right, the right to self-determination in all your actions. Where is this? Is this Church World Services? The right to dignity, humane treatment, and freedom from any form of abuse and exploitation. Well, that wasn't given to the Afghan Muslim. Being told he eats dog, that's not dignity. The right to be provided with honest and truthful information. That's not happening. Right to access your personal information, including viewing your case file. That's not happening. One of the refugees, they weren't helped get a Social Security card. They got it on their own. Then the refugee case officer demanded their Social Security card so they could scan it and put it in the records. So he's like, nope, you didn't help me get it. Okay? So if you're dissatisfied with the actions taken in response to your grievance, you have the right to contact the National Headquarters Church World Service to file a grievance. Okay? Okay? This is something that should be given to everybody. I don't know why it's not given. He had to go find it. Yep. Client rights grievance policy, fillable. It's a fillable form. So let me just send that to, so that's to, yep. All for the school run. Question everything. Don't just keep quiet, even that person. Yep. Come here to mention a caseworker. That's perhaps why they did their licenses on their own. Always enjoy chats. All right. Enjoy Greenville, Texas. Entertain. Emma Kane Tears says the People Church World Service call center and WhatsApp number are very helpful and friendly. No, they're not. I've been trying to contact them for months. So has Professor G. I smell a rat. Are they getting donations from our government for them? No. Huh. Angel said he must be exhausted. Actually, I'm okay. I'll probably be tired here a little bit. I'm okay at the moment. Yeah, and I'm going to make a video when I'm done here just to make sure that people don't get angry at that organization. Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap it up here, folks. It's almost 2 hours. Be sure to hit the like button. Appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat revenue. Oh, but what's this? Oh, I already did that. Didn't I do that? Thank you for the 70 rand. Yeah, it's the same one. I got it, Mad Max. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Okay. Yeah, well, because permanent housing is a lease. You're renting a place, you have to sign a lease. No one lets you live in a place without a lease, and usually they're 12 months. Neff says, I've never received anything but general feedback when I've sent an email. Exactly. Backup systems operational, apparently, if that fails. Well, that's a shame. You're talking about Chernobyl. You're welcome. Ukraine are winning that war. Not sure where you're getting your info from. Russians are running out of tanks due to drones. Thank you, Krista. Who doesn't belong where? What did I miss? Renato Real for Connor, thank you for that. Mr. Super Chat. Trump builds a new house for Biden. I didn't see that. Where's that at? Sorry. At the Mary's place. Oh, there it is. Okay, I did miss one. Sorry about that, Max. Okay. President Trump signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Making insane asylums great again. Oh, it's funny. Excuse me. I guess I'm a little tired, but I felt fine. It's funny, Max. Thank you for that one. All right. Okay. All right, you guys take care. I'll see you tomorrow. We got Wednesdays with the Colonel tomorrow. And a busy day for me as always. I still got lots of stuff to get done here, but thank you so much for that. A couple days behind this. So, all right. Podcast. I need to finish watching 11/22/63, the last episode. What an incredible show. Yeah. What's his name? Franco. James Franco. Good actor. All right, guys. Thanks. Cheers. Have a good night. All right. Maze hasn't been here for a while, ever since her health went sideways. She kept coming in and then she got mad. You're very much welcome, guys. All right. Take care. Cheers. See you later.